Hi YouTube, and welcome back to my Let's Play World of Warcraft with Warlords of Draenor. And the reason I say that so slowly is because I'm trying to think of the right words to say. Again, memory, trying to remember names is a bad thing. Okay, so we're kind of in the final stretch of kind of the starting area for Warlords of Draenor now, where we're accompanying this dwarf, and he is going to help us take on this big giant tank cannon rammy thingy that's over here. And I thought I could get past this big kind of orc, not orc, but Ogrun, or whatever, the demon beastie thingy, but I couldn't. I aggroed him easily, so they didn't have this guy in beta as far as I recall. Now, I didn't play the level 90 beta very much. As soon as they came out with the level 100 beta testing stuff, I kind of switched over and did that quite a bit. So, just as an FYI, I did run through the kind of the level 90 starting area thing a few times, but at basically at very early stages of the beta and things, and they did not have this guy. They did not have that demon dude there at the time, so he's new, and they might have added him by near the end of beta, but actually in the last, I don't know, month or two before beta ended, I actually didn't even have time to play because I started getting too much work, which is, you know, not a bad thing. But, alright, so now we're getting started on this. We have to try and defend while he gets the motors going and things, and he's just kind of hammering away, I guess. And these guys down here are taking a pummeling, so basically I am to provide some fire support. So that's what I'm doing here, is just kind of shooting at all the orcs down there and kind of making sure that I kind of stop the Iron Horde as best as possible. And the reason why you saw that hesitation is because my mouse decided just at that moment to stop working. I've been having trouble with my mouse. I think I've mentioned this in the past, that I might need a new mouse, and I keep saying it, but I keep not doing it. Mainly because the mouse and the keyboard are both wireless, and they're both tied to the same little USB thingy, so I don't want to replace the keyboard, so I don't know what I want to do. But anyway, so now the enemy is fighting back with cannons of their own, and so I need to destroy the cannons while also continuing giving fire suppression support and taking out as many of these guys as possible before they reach our troops. And then there's another cannon back there, so I gotta kind of stay on top of that. So it's kind of a, this reminds me a little bit of one of the there's this one battleground, and I forget the name of it because you know me, I forget names, but where you both come in ships, Alliance and Horde come in ships, and then you have to break down these gates to get to the objective. And there's green gates and blue gates and red gates and yellow gates and all this stuff. And you have to sit, you know, like if you're the defender, you sit on the gate wall, and you have a cannon, and you shoot at them as they're attacking and stuff. So this reminds me a lot of that battleground. It's just that this is all NPCs instead of PvP, and so, you know, they're a lot stupider. They don't program a ton of AI into these guys, which is why playing against NPCs is a lot easier, in my opinion, than it is against actual players, at least from, you know, these kinds of perspectives. Obviously, they make the bosses in raids and instances a lot harder, mainly because they're just they don't make them smarter as much as that they just give them a whole lot more health, and a lot more, like, they can hit a lot harder and stuff, so they get an advantage that way. Alright, so we did that, and we fired the big cannon at the dark portal, and we've destroyed it. So I wonder, you know, how that's gonna supposedly affect history. So I finally read up on the storyline that's going on here, for those of you who don't know what the storyline is. And yes, I'm talking over this because there's copyright issues and stuff, so I can't necessarily let you hear everything that they're saying. So, but there's a bit of a confrontation. Thrall's like, you know, suck it, bitches, basically, and they're like, you know, we'll find you, there's nowhere you can hide, etc. Regardless, just going back into the history of what's going on. So, at the end of Mists of Pandaria, Garrosh Hellscream, who was the Horde war chief, he was deposed because the other leaders in the Horde were fed up with his brutality and his disregard for pretty much everything, and you know, he was just basically a power-hungry jerk face. And just as a brief aside, we are now running to the docks. And right now that's our main objective, is to just run and get our butts on a ship and get the heck out of Dodge. So that's what we're doing here. So going back to the story. So yes, so Garrosh Hellscream, he did some really bad things in Pandaria. Horde leaders got fed up with him and he got deposed. And Zul'jin is now the Horde war chief. That being said, apparently, and I kind of missed some of this end content, so that's why I wasn't familiar with it and I had to read up on it. So Garrosh, after he was deposed, fled through the dark portal into the past from before the orcs came through the dark portal in the first place and attacked Azeroth. And that's, you know, like the first Warcraft game was orcs versus humans, and the orcs came through the dark portal and attacked Azeroth and the humans in Azeroth. So basically, that's what Garrosh went and did, is he came to Draenor before that event. So after the dark portal was built, but before the orcs had a chance to attack Azeroth, with the idea of building an Iron Horde army and taking them through the portal into the future to reconquer Azeroth and rule it under his iron fist or something of that nature. So that's where we're at now, is we're basically screwing with the timeline of Warcraft in general. So this goes back from beyond the first Warcraft game. Not World of Warcraft, but the first Warcraft game. Warcraft 1. Orcs versus humans. So we're in Draenor prior to that. Because then what happened was, after the whole Azeroth attack and everything, and I don't know the exact history, but something happened where they had to open other portals on Draenor to kind of shut some things down, and kind of they shut down the dark portal, and other portals were opened for some folks to escape. And that destabilized Draenor, and what remained ended up being Outlands, Outlands is what we ultimately see in Burning Crusade. So Draenor and Outlands are the same place. It's just that this Draenor is the whole planet, you know, unspoiled, blown up. And Outlands is the kind of smoldering remains after the destabilization of the portals happened. So it'll be interesting to see how these events affect the overall Warcraft timeline and everything. I mean, they're kind of retconning things a little bit. Oh yes, and there's a glitch right there. Did you see Thrall was kind of floating in midair there. It was kind of funny. But then he came back down to give me the quest, so. And this area here ultimately is going to be where the garrison gets built. First we plant a flag, and we gotta kind of clear out some of the grunlings and that kind of thing. And then we can build our garrison. Yay! And for those of you who are skeptical about coming back to playing World of Warcraft, let me tell you, I think the garrisons are a fantastic addition to the game. Yes, they've nerfed a bunch of things. Yes, they've simplified the talent trees and that kind of thing. And to be perfectly honest, for a player like me, I'm perfectly happy with that. I thought it took way too much time and research and energy in order to perfect my builds and everything. I mean, you know, you practically had to spend, you know, several hours, and oh yes, and Thrall's back floating in the air again. Like, okay. But yeah, you'd have to take hours and hours and hours of research to find just the right talent balance and build, and based on your gameplay style and your class selection, and just too much stuff. And I know some people were like really into all of that stuff, and I'm like, just no. Yes, we're marking trees to be chopped down so that we can build our garrison. So that's why we're doing the flaggy thing. So yeah, so the simplification of the talents, in my opinion, was needed because, you know, I'm guessing maybe 5% of players actually really liked really diving into all this stuff. So a reason why all these websites came up that were created that would help you calculate your talent trees and say, okay, I want to play a Retribution Paladin in PvE. What's the best talent spec blend to get me the highest DPS? And people came up with all sorts of algorithms and all this and that and the other in order to help people build out their talent trees, as well as figure out the right, you know, armor mix to get you the right stats that way and all this kind of stuff. And you still have the armor stats and that kind of thing that you still have to pay attention to and things. But that, on top of the talent trees and stuff, it just got to be a little bit too much research and things. And I think a lot of people were using those websites that came up with their own algorithms to do that because, you know, people were like, this is hard. I want to play this game and have fun. I don't want to sit here, you know, try to calculate my stat percentages to get the right build. So regardless, that's you know, that's basically my thing, is that I really don't have a problem with the simplified talent trees and that kind of thing, because ultimately at the end of the day we just want to play. You know, it's a game, it's a fun game. I just want to play the game. I don't want to have to, you know, have a PhD in order to figure out my talents. And as the game kept advancing and stuff, they'd have to add more talent trees and more talent trees and more talent trees, and it just kept getting more and more complicated to the point where it was just getting ridiculous. So I know there's naysayers out there about it, but I personally think it was more than necessary to do that. But I decided not to kill that guy just because I wasn't sure if there was going to be any kind of quest-related thing with him. There wasn't in the beta, but I wasn't sure because they always like slipping in the extra stuff after the beta, or stuff that they didn't have included in the beta, or not everyone, you know, gets included in testing that particular part of the content for whatever reason. But anyway, so yes, killing grunlings. We've already marked all the trees that we wanted to be chopped down. So we just need to kill these guys off, and then turn that in and then go on to the next part, and we're getting very close to having that garrison built. So, level 1 garrison, I mean, it's a decent structure, but it's fairly basic. And you start off with level 1, and at least in the beta, you could level the the garrison up to level 3. So at every level, it gets a bit bigger, your walls get a bit more fortified, and you get a little bit more space to put more buildings. And there's more building types available than there are slots. So you kind of have to be selective and say, okay, do I want, you know, what's more important to me, an alchemy lab or a forge where I can forge metal and stuff and build weapons. So there's those types of decisions that have to be made in terms of just what do I want to build, what do I have room to build, what do I have resources to build, and what would be most beneficial to me at the present area that I'm playing in. So that's basically what we're facing here. I guess I kind of took a little break while I was waiting for that. There we go. So now we've got to kill like the main Ogron whatever guy, or Gronling guy. I guess the Ogrons are kind of like a mix between ogres and Gronlings. Because there's ogres, there's Gronlings, and then there's Ogrons. And the Ogrons kind of look like basically a hybrid between the two. So Ogron, Ogre, Gronling, that kind of makes sense. They look pretty badass, and they have terrible posture. Makes my back hurt just looking at their big humpy backs and stuff. At least Thrall and Olin Umberhide are helping me with this guy. Because he's boss level. I mean, you know, basic boss level. You don't have to have a whole group of people to kill him, but because Thrall and folks join in with that. Alright, so that was the last thing. Now we can just go, there's a surveyor or something or other that we have to go to, and they will start building. Look at all the logs that they've collected already. Those orcs are efficient, that's for sure. Alrighty. Are we ready to see the garrison? Drumroll, please. I'm not going to do it. But, oops, I got stuck there. Alrighty. Here is the, so Thrall's like, you have earned your place in this frozen land. And, yep, boom. Instant garrison. It's magic. Alright, so I've got my garrison, and we'll start playing out of here, starting with the next episode. Thanks for watching. Please like, please subscribe, and take care until next time. Bye-bye.